Well, we really want to get to the company, so I think we have a video queued up for the first. So we're just going to kind of get online and give a couple minutes on each of the companies, let them introduce themselves, and then we'll go into some questions. And we want to leave enough time for the audience to participate and have some Q&A at the end as well.
Urbi is, as many people might think we are, a foldable electric scooter or vehicle. We're actually not that. We're actually an innovation design company, and we're headquartered in Pasadena, and we live to alleviate pain points of living in cities. And one of the biggest things that our mission is basically to unlock human potential through efficient and better sustainable living. And we've developed a product and a service and a platform of services that basically integrates with public transportation more efficiently. It allows people to use ride shares for longer distances and eliminate parking. And we believe that if we achieve this, that we'll be able to unlock not only human potential, but also expand opportunities for cities, universities, and businesses. And so we're really happy to see that this adoption is happening not only in LA, in New York, and San Francisco, but now we're in 34 countries, and it's really exciting to see that our belief that people have something better to do than to sit in traffic and pay for parking is being adopted. So anyways, I guess we'll just, as the video's going,
skip all the AV.
We'll come back to the video if we get it up and running. Sorry about that. Please, go.
My turn?
Yeah, we're going to come back to the video once they get it fixed. They're having some technical difficulties back there, so.
Gotta love technical difficulties. First of all, I have got to say it is surreal to be on the stage of the Alex Theater when I spent my childhood out there looking this way. So this is like super, super cool. Wait a minute, I gotta take a picture. Ready? Everybody smile. 1, 2. Okay, I hope I got a good angle of you. So, I am Kendall with Diggs, and I have a real estate startup, which may not sound particularly techy, although in my world I'm considered a tech goddess. And it might not be considered all that sexy because really, who needs another real estate company? But in my industry, things are broken. And that is the seed, I think, of all great entrepreneurship, is to find a need and to fill it, to find a problem and to derive a solution. In my industry, what we find with real estate brokerages, think of any brokerage. Go ahead, I'll give you a second. Got one in mind? Okay. In general, these real estate brokerages are essentially landlords. And what they have done is they've put together a sexy-ass office that's very, very swanky. And they have attracted agents who are presumably professional and expert, and their job is to connect their service, their individual services, individual brokers, to the community and the consumers that they serve. But the brokerage itself is pretty much a place for a desk and a phone and a receptionist. There are, of course, differences, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to any brokerages that are out there, but that is the business model. What I find is that there's an incredibly uneven experience for the consumer when they do business with an individual from any one of these brokerages. Because they're essentially a landlord, one agent, and we're independent contractors, so essentially it's like herding cats when you're a broker. So if you hire the people that come in, then agent A may give an amazing experience with just the most amazing expertise and knowledge possible that helps the client avoid problems and make more money. And you can have an agent Z over here under the same brokerage that is perhaps not as knowledgeable, not as expert, and perhaps doesn't have as pure intentions, giving what could be a not so great experience to the consumer. But it's all under the same brand. What I wanted to do was to use my expertise as a technologist, as well as 31 years of real estate experience. I learned how to do real estate before fax machines, if you can remember that. Everything was in the multiple list book and it was all analog. So to take my expertise of technology, and marry it with my educational background. I have a degree in theoretical communication. So, my jam is to figure out how consumers make decisions, how they get the research, how they figure out should they do A or B. So marry those two things with an actual brokerage and then control very tightly who I bring in as independent contractors. Right now, it's only brand new real estate agents so that I can grow them from the ground up, because I want them enrolled in my mission to give a consistent experience at Diggs no matter who the consumer encounters. My agents, my staff, my vendors, me, my marketing, my educational stuff, it all reflects a certain consistent level of expertise and knowledge. This is something the consumer wants, because what we know in our research is that what the consumer wants isn't necessarily the lowest priced person, real estate agent, and they don't necessarily want the most prestigious company out there. What they really want is someone that they trust to have their back and to know what they're doing. And that is what I am trying to do as a startup, create at a brokerage level, which to this point in my industry is pretty much left up to the individual agent. So that's it. And we're in Montrose. My office is really cool. Come and visit us.
Thank you. Last but not least.
Awesome, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Ara Madessian. I'm the CEO of ServiceTitan. We're just 2 blocks up the road. Very humbled to be here, to get a chance to speak with you all. We make business management software for a very specific category of companies. Those companies are called home services companies. And these are the companies, the plumbers, the air conditioning companies, the electricians, where if something isn't working at your home, your toilet's not flushing, your air conditioning isn't blowing cold air, you would call them to come out and service you and fix your problem. We build and provide the software that powers their whole business. So that said, eager to dive in Q&A and just have a conversation with you all.
Thank you very much. We've overcome our technical difficulties, so we're going to show the quick video, and then we'll get on to some questions.
Great.
A foldable electric vehicle made right here in the United States.
This is the Urbi. This is the Urbi.
But this is the Urbi.
URB-E.
So this is the new Urbi Sport.
One great thing about the Urbi is that you can be this old, and when you ride one of these, you feel that old. It's magical.
Guests love the Urbis. It gives our guests great access to the rest of the city. It expands, the footprint that they could explore just on foot. And I got to be honest, they are just a lot of fun. Our guests, come here for a unique experience and something that not everyone has to offer. And I think we're able to offer that with Urbi.
There it is. It's much more concise.
Well, thank you very much. Great video. I wanted to ask each of the panelists a series of 3 questions. You can sort of spend as much time as you want on the different questions. We definitely want to leave some time at the end for some audience participation. But all I've done for the past 20 plus years has been startups, and each one of them have had their ups and downs, but there's always been a very scary moment or several moments in each of those endeavors. And so I wanted you to first kind of give a little bit of a personalization of the company and mention one of those scary moments that you've had, or what's the scariest moment you've had so far. Second is sort of when you realize that you've kind of, I don't want to say made it, but at least made it over that first big hump where you've been validated or you feel like you've been able to prove your thesis of what you were trying to accomplish. And then lastly, where do you see yourself going from here now that you've sort of made it through that first major gate and you're on your way to global domination. So world domination, sorry. So we'll start in the same order, please.
Sure. I mean, one of the things for us at Irby is that as a startup, in 2015, we had this idea of solving what we thought was the real problem, which is the last mile, which actually it's what we call the micro mile. And the fear was that once we got our investment, we shared with our investors that this is our vision. They said, okay. And then we were like, holy moly, they said, okay. And they invested. And then we had to build this thing, develop it, and sell it. And that's just that overwhelming fear of now having to execute. I mean, it was fear and not fear, but it was a challenge that we had. And I just remember so many people just said, every day just saying, it's impossible. That's a toy, nobody's going to adopt it. And that was a big challenge for us as a company. And then proving that was what we spend every day, proving them wrong is what we spend every day doing, saying that we can not only develop, invent, patent, build here in California, but also we can ship worldwide, and there's mass adoption. So that's been probably a cool thing. One specific story I remember on our first day of shipping, finally got through fabricating, getting it in, and we're shipping outside on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, and we put the product in the box that we also get from City of Industry. And we put it in, and the handlebars were 2 inches too long. And we had all these people that we've been telling we're going to ship for the last month, and we're like, oh my gosh, how come we didn't know that these are 2 inches? But we just never put it in the box. So, I mean, it says
measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways,
when did you know you first made it over that hump? When you got that first big order, or?
Yeah, when we launched at USC, I mean, we've sold thousands of these, but really, when we crossed over to see that the University of Southern California has a big problem of parking and traffic, and they have 70,000 students and faculty and only 10,000 parking spaces, and their massive campus, when they came to us saying, hey, can you help us, can you partner with us to develop a system and a platform that allows us to reduce traffic and congestion. And we launched recently there, and the response has been great. And students are telling us, oh my gosh, I can do so much more in my time at school. I can have an internship. I don't have to, the football team uses them, and the great thing is that they're paying for them. And it's validating that they're choosing Irby to go micro mile distances and a range of up to 20 miles instead of paying for Uber or Lyft. And it's better for the environment, it's better for the school, and it's better for the students.
So where do you go from here?
For here is what we do is what we're doing now is we're establishing a template basically of how to replicate these solutions for universities and cities, because universities are basically small cities, and expand them to major cities and universities all over the U.S. and then globally. Because the pain points here in the U.S. are pretty acute, but they're even worse internationally. I mean, what we have here of traffic and congestion and parking, it's pretty bad. We all complain about it. It's really tough. But overseas in Asia and Europe, it's even worse, like times 100. So with the California brand and with the solution and all the new stuff that we have coming down the pipeline with new products and services, being able to package that and make it really accessible and easy for our customers who are also enterprise customers, for them to adopt is where we go next.
Excellent. Please.
Remind me of the questions. I'm a middle-aged lady with a fair to middling memory.
Have you had, hopefully, an opportunity to learn from it, but you had a scary moment so far? And when did you realize you're sort of over that first hump, and where do you go from here?
Oh, we're still in the middle of that first hump. Don't
Okay.
get me wrong. So when I launched, first of all, I'm a huge chicken. I spent 50 years trying very hard to be under the radar, the real estate agent nobody knew about. I just did a kick-ass business for my clients. I was nowhere to nobody except the people I did business for. I launched the brokerage because I basically have a lot to give, and this was a great platform to do it, but I didn't want a brokerage. I just really wanted a really cool storefront office. I wanted one or two really awesome agents that were with me on the same board of what I was trying to do, and I actually parked my at that point, a team underneath a larger brokerage, who I still love and adore. They're super awesome. But at the end of the day, they were hunter green carpet and I'm polished concrete floors. It was not something that was going to work for my brand. And so in 2015, I actually went from being just an agent with a team in a really cool office to a whole brokerage. At the same time, this has all happened between February 1st of 2015 and March 30th of 2015. I lost my only admin who was in control of everything except selling houses. I broke away from the large brokerage. I got my own broker's license. I had to figure out all of the legalities around running a broker, something I never intended to do. I was asked to join a tech startup as an advisor and ultimately community manager and brand manager. And my speaking career that I never intended to have was taking off, and I was leaving Los Angeles and going across the country and speaking. And for somebody who's never been east of the I-5, that was a little bit stressful. There's a lot of stuff east of the I-5. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's amazing. So I'm doing all of this between February and March 30th, and my business, in terms of personal business, people wanting to list and sell with me, exploded. I doubled my business in 2015 from 2014 with everything happening like that. So to say that it was stressful, and I just looked at my husband and I said, that's it, we can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know which one of these is going to have to go, but something's going to have to go. And I wasn't thoroughly convinced that it wasn't the real estate that was going to have to go. Because I've been doing this for 30 years. This is getting kind of, long time. New challenges are awesome. That's why we're all entrepreneurs, right? We like new challenges. All right, so that was kind of did it go wrong?
It was definitely scary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I was petrified the entire time. Talk about the night sweats. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, that was really scary. So it wasn't like an abject failure. It wasn't the 2 inches on the, thank God, that would be like showing up for finals and not having studied. So it wasn't that. If you could say it was almost a scariness of success, but it really wasn't because, she left me because I wasn't a very good boss. We won't even go there. But being your own person, because I was an independent contractor, doing my own thing, super, super, super different than being a boss and a mentor and a business owner. And those two skills are not necessarily the same thing. So, that was definitely a failure for sure. What was the next question? Oh.
When did you get sort of validation for what you were doing, or felt like you've made it over that first, if you're not over the hump yet, but pretty confident you'll get over that hump?
So again, I never wanted to be a broker owner, and I sure as heck did not want to manage real estate agents. I'm scared of real estate agents. And I thought that in order to get quality agents to want to align with your brand, you had to pay them a huge split, pay for all their costs, do all kinds of things I wasn't prepared to do. And I did all my numbers. I know my budget, and you just can't do what I want to deliver to the consumer and pay what the industry typically pays to independent contractors. So that's why my original plan, I figured, 1, 2 agents, I grow them from the ground up, and that'll be enough. But agents, new people started coming and interviewing, and I have 5 agents now, and I turned down, I hire 1 out of every 5 people. That's where we are right now. About 1 out of every 5 people that come to me. So the validation, I think, is that people are seeing a lot of value from this weird new idea that I'm doing. And that's been very, very fulfilling. And we want to make it bigger. So I remember the third
that where you
question.
wanna
Where am
go?
I going to go
Make it bigger.
next, right? Yeah. So I have no intention of becoming, I joke about worldwide domination. I actually don't want that. That's way too much responsibility and stress. I really just want to do an amazing job here in Glendale in the foothills. I would like eventually to have 20 agents, be top of mind for the company, not me. Not me, Diggs. I want everybody in Glendale to be thinking about Diggs as a premier choice to handle their real estate needs. And that would encompass maybe 20 agents. And if that goes well, maybe we'll see about duplicating that model in other local areas. It's another part of what I do. I think that real estate is local. Having a brand that means the same thing to everybody no matter where you are, that doesn't make sense to me. But having hyper-local, hyper-expertise for just a small area, that makes a lot of sense. So if I figure out how to crack the code here in Glendale, then maybe we'll go to neighboring communities like Pasadena.
Thank you very much. Please, I'd like to hear
Awesome.
some of your stories since you've
So
done such a
first
great
question, challenges.
job. Or the scariest challenge or the scariest thing you had to face.
Every day is just a big challenge. When it comes to, I think, successful companies, public perception is it's often overnight success. I don't think there were any such successful companies. Every successful company has had, 3 to 5 years of just fighting it out in the trenches, not knowing what the outcome is going to be before you even see the first signs of success. So along every part of that journey, there has been one of these existential threats and moments. Very early on, it was our first big customer that put their trust and confidence in us and asked us to build the software to power their business. And for the first 6 months, it was a big struggle. All kinds of problems and bugs every day. Every day we wondered, when is the owner going to break down our door and tell us to get the heck out of here and take our software with us? He stuck with us and we stuck with him, and ultimately we got it right and we built something that actually worked. And that was kind of the beginning of everything else that came. So that was early on when we had no customers. Today, where we have more than 2,000 companies across the country on ServiceTitan, with nearly 30,000 technicians, roughly $6 billion in annual transactions, and servicing over 5 million homes every year. We don't service them, our customers service them. This is not a small app that they use on the side where if it goes down or something's wrong, it's okay. They can just do business a different way. This is literally the software that powers every single part of their business, every workflow, and every employee in that company does everything they have to do through ServiceTitan. So on very, very, very rare occasions where ServiceTitan is down or unavailable, phones are just blowing up because the home services world isn't functioning. Of course, we've now invested millions of dollars into making sure that never happens, and it's very rare, but these are all existential threats. But look, anybody that has either started a startup or has been part of the journey of a startup knows that there is a constant lingering threat always in your mind, which is like you give up so many opportunities to do other things and make a very reliable and consistent income in order to do something more risky, in order to change this world and change lives and achieve something extraordinary and work alongside incredible individuals. That comes often with a heavy price because 99 out of 100 startups don't make it. And no matter how big you get and how successful you get, even today with 350 employees, that's what I think about. There's 350 families in our building that depend on the success of ServiceTitan, and then there's hundreds of thousands of families out there who use ServiceTitan that depend on its success. So that never goes away, right? That is the biggest challenge we face every day. You pick any day in our journey, day 1 or day 800, and I'll tell you a story about an incredible challenge that we overcame. So that's the challenge question. What's the next one?
Well, when did you know you made it over that hump?
Yeah,
Did you get
so-
the first big customer or a repeat customer or something like that?
I mean, I think I addressed this towards the latter end. You've never made it. You always have to have this like optimistic paranoia of, yeah, we're kind of doing well, but this could change any moment. If we stray from our values, if we stop doing what's right, we take our eye off the ball, we don't pay attention to what customers need or what competition is doing, somebody could service tighten, and a lot of lives are at stake. So we make sure that never happens. But then, of course, there are the funny anecdotes that you hear where you joke, we know we've made it now. Like, I think the first one was when we found a job ad for a plumber. One of our customers was hiring for a plumber, and the job ad said, bonus plus if you know how to use ServiceTitan. So that was the first one. Second was when we found out that another startup had put in their pitch deck that they wanted to be the ServiceTitan of X industry. That was the other big one that we joke about. But yeah, you never know.
Well, that sounds like great validation. So where do you see yourselves going from here?
That's a great question. We focus on one thing and one thing only, and this probably is not very good business advice, but it served us well. My co-founder, Vahe, he and I started this company because we come from this industry. Both of our parents were tradespeople in home services. Vahe's dad to this day is a plumber, and he's probably in a home somewhere fixing something. We built this software to help him, and then it turned out that there were many other people that needed this product, and so through referrals and word of mouth, it grew into something much larger. We focus on the tens and hundreds of thousands of people that we still need to help, and that's all we think about. So our first order of business is just help every single one of those individuals that needs our help.
Great, thank you. Do we have a microphone available for the audience? While we're doing that, I just wanted to give one quick scary moment that we had as a company. We had a lot of them, but we were a specialty chemical company, and we sourced things from all over the world and drop shipped all over the world. And we were pretty tight on logistics, and we kind of thought we knew what we were doing. And we had arranged for some containers of some hazardous chemicals going from Japan to one of our Fortune 100 customers in the US, and it was coming into the port of Houston. And we were pretty on top of the paperwork, and we called down to make sure that it arrived, and they said, it arrived, but it's disappeared. And we said, really? So can we start looking for it? And so we had a little bit of time to find it. A week goes by, couldn't find it. They had no record of it. They couldn't figure out where it went. We started scrambling. Another week went by. Our customer called us saying, hey, it's going to be here next week. We said, we hope so. We wound up scrambling and actually arranging for air. So try to imagine short-term air freight from Japan, hazardous chemicals to the U.S. We basically lost money on the order to do that, but we made sure the customer was happy. And it just disappeared. So we kind of just had to write it off and didn't think about it. Several months later, it was probably almost 3 months later, we got a call from Department of Homeland Security saying that there's a certain number of containers that come into any place, whether it's Los Angeles, Houston, wherever, that they just confiscate as part of their random, process. And ours was, and it was fine, and where do you want it? And so it was just one of those, wow, thanks. But it was very scary because we had never had issues before, and we were always on top of that whole supply chain thing, but certainly something that we didn't know how to plan for, we didn't plan for, and now we have safety stock in different places in the U.S. for that reason. But it's one of those things that you don't expect to happen, but things can happen. So, not sure where the microphone is, but I'd love to get some questions from the audience to our 3 entrepreneurs. So anybody want to raise a hand and ask a question? Oh, you don't have to swear. I'm sorry. I'll give you mine. So please raise your hand if you have a question.
This question is for Mr. Lee. Quick thought. After living in Hollywood for 10 years and seeing every motorized shopping cart or bicycle up and down Sunset, I'm just curious, and I don't mean to be, you're putting the buggy whip people out of business, but I'm just curious as to whether you've run into any issues with regard to the size of your device and whether it's caused any kind of trouble in the streets, because at some point, especially living in Hollywood, you wonder whether these massive shopping carts should have licenses and they're just traveling down Sunset. And I know that you can go awfully fast on that, obviously, and I'm just wondering if that's an issue for you at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's something we considered from day one. You know, our technology and our IP, we hold the multiple patents for foldable electric vehicles. And our Sven Elsenberger is our CTO, and he was the lead engineer at Porsche for many years. And the thing that we obsess about is small footprint and control. And one of the things about this product is that, compared to what's out there, including bikes and everything else, is that this weighs 30 pounds, and it goes 20 miles, and it takes up the space of a sheet of paper when folded up. You are 20% the size of a bicycle, and it works just like a bicycle as in bike lanes. And what we think about is building a platform and service and a brand that's responsibly trying to solve mobility issues. And what we look at are all these things that are out there, and your concerns are our concerns to the T, actually, because we believe that there's a better way of going about solving these mobility issues. And we don't want to influence or disrupt other people's lives. In fact, we actually want to enhance it and make it more efficient. I'll just give you a quick example. There's a lot of bike share programs that are going out there where people can use, and I love bike shares. The more bike shares, the better. But one of the things that our customers have said to us is that one of the things about bikes is they can't put it in the back of an Uber or a Lyft when they need to, or they can't put it in their office, and they have to leave it out. And so we've really taken that to heart to build something that's foldable, low impact, does not influence anybody else around, including, like, if you buy an Irby, Metro will give you a free 7-day pass because the overall experience to other people is better than what currently is out there. And so your concerns are something we think about on a daily basis.
Great question. Do we have another one? I see a hand.
I just have a question concerning about the, how long does it take in order to recharge the battery for the bike?
No, it takes 3.5 hours. We'll give you 20 miles, up to 20 miles.
Thank you. There was one other question right over here.
I have a quick question for ServiceTitan. I forgot your name. I'm sorry.
Sure. Aura.
Aura. Thanks, Aura. Since you are based on the Glendale, I have a quick question. Do you have a multilingual, like a service local community? Because we have a lot of, for example, speak Armenians. You have.
Yeah, the product right now is not multilingual, although very soon it will be.
I see. Cool. Okay.
What language? You bring several languages on at the same time, or what's your second or next language you're bringing on?
Spanish.
Excellent.
Second question, quick question.
Since
you have a great platform for the home services, you looking for, since we got the Olympic coming in 11 years, you intend to involve any part at the Olympics, for services?
Sorry, say that again. You have what kind of company?
Since you have a great platform for like home services.
Yep.
But we have Olympic coming. Your company have a plan to involve in any support any Olympics?
Architects. That's
Olympics.
Olympics.
Yeah.
What kind of Olympics company?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they need home services, any kind. They have a team stay from all other countries.
I see. I don't think that's part of our immediate plans right now, but something to consider.
Cool. Okay.
Time to plan. Any other questions? Oh, One more? And I'll finish up with one question as well.
Thank you to everyone for being here. Without giving away too much information, a politically correct way to deal with competitors, whether they came before you or after you, and knowing that they're there, knowing that they know you're there, and the politically correct way to handle that, leaving out any identifiers like who, but knowing that there are people that are copying your business model or are threatened by your business model, and how to handle that.
I'll let each of the panelists speak to that, but go right down the line. Sure. Irby?
Politically correct?
Don't start now.
Yeah, no, I mean, we understand that we're in a new industry. I mean, micro-mile, foldable electric vehicle, urban transportation is totally new. And we know that people are closely following us. People who are not in this industry, automobile companies that are now called mobility companies, everybody is really closely following us and looking at what we're doing. And so we accept that. And we wouldn't be a startup or taking other people's money to build out a business, a global business, if we didn't think that we could innovate faster, if we could develop faster, and if we had a vision that was beyond, if we didn't have an edge over, competitors. And it kind of what Ara said is that every day, the only thing you can assume is that something will surprise you or something will come up. That's the only thing. We call it expectantly looking. You're expectantly looking for opportunities and expectantly looking for challenges. And one of those things are competitors. And we always are trying to differentiate ourselves. And something he said is, when he saw on a pitch deck, somebody said, hey, we want to be the service titan of this. We've seen that as well. And we were like, yay! But then we're like, whoa, how do they wait, they're watching us? So our goal is, the soul of the company is innovation. We're not a one product, one hit wonder. We constantly have to push the envelope every day.
Great. Please.
Real estate has always been a competitive business. And for most of my life, and we're talking going back 30 years, it's primarily a person-to-person business. So to answer your question, it's really, code of thumper. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I would love it if people would try to copy what we're doing, because I started Diggs to essentially, I want to affect my industry and change it for the better. So if what I am doing, which is focusing on quality at a company level, as opposed to personality of the individual agents, if that catches fire, dude, I'm all over it. Let's make it happen. I'll help anybody do exactly what I'm doing.
We help set a new standard, right? So you can always be at the cutting edge.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about the goal and then the how. So we started this company to help all these home services contractors that have been underserved by technology. And today we're very confident that for the specific type of customer that we aim to sell, we are the best solution for them. So I want to make one thing clear, like when it comes to competition, we will and have to help every single one of these guys. And whether they're using something else or not using anything at all, we have to win every opportunity with these guys. So we're highly competitive, but it's not for competition's sake. It's because we believe very fanatically that these guys deserve what we built. Now, how we do it, of course, everything has to be ethical in business. You do it by differentiation. You do it by understanding your customers and their needs incredibly well and building something that is very unique and has a sustainable competitive advantage. And there's a whole bunch of theory behind that that can explain that much more comprehensively than I could here. But differentiation is the most important thing. The way you differentiate is by having an incredibly intimate understanding of the customer and their needs.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking our panelists for a great panel.